Hey guys, in this video I'm going to tell you how to make $1,000 from one detail in less than 10 minutes. Actually, that's not true because it's impossible, but doesn't it sound like a lot of the YouTube ads that might have played before this video? Guys, in this video we're taking this Toyota Spider and we're just going to detail the interior of it. This is a maintenance vehicle that I have in my auto detailing business here in Middle Tennessee, and you might have seen this Spider on the channel before. I was doing the exterior, a quick polish, testing out some of the new Turtle Wax hybrid ceramic products, but here we're taking care of the interior once again, so let's go ahead and get into it and talk about how stuff like this is actually a very practical way to make money in the auto detailing business. Alright guys, let's take a look at the interior before we get started so that you can have an idea of what kind of condition this vehicle is in. Now, I did detail the exterior of this vehicle in a different video and talked about why this is kind of a unique client in that it is a maintenance client, but it is not one that I see as regularly as my other clients. Now, for those of you starting your detailing business, go below in the YouTube description box and grab that free guide that I've put together. It's a 13-page free guide on exactly how to start up your auto detailing business with the exact tools and products, the top 10 fundamental things that I think every detailer needs, no matter if they've been in the business for 10 years or less than a year. These are things that I have used for the past 10 years and things that will greatly benefit you. So go grab that free guide below if you haven't done that already, and let's go ahead and get started with this video. Now, the first thing I want to do is really just talk about the business side of this conversation, in that this car kind of represents the exact kind of maintenance client that really, in my experience, I like to target, and this can be contextualized for your particular situation. So you just take this with a grain of salt and kind of adjust it and modify it for where you are at. But I just want to give you guys my experience of why this car represents the type of maintenance client that's really attractive to me. Number one, in the beginning stages, when you are attempting to build a maintenance client list, one of the things that I found, and again, this is just my experience, but one of the things that I found is that I had a lot of success with people who didn't necessarily want their car detailed every month, but they wanted it detailed every 3 months, say. And so when I pitched it in a sort of every 4-week format, sometimes the people were kind of intimidated by that, and they thought they were a little thrown off by that, and they felt like, well, I'm not really comfortable spending that amount of money. Now, of course, over time, I actually built my business into, kind of that's the only client I had was, I was detailing for one customer who had 3 cars, every single week, and I would see one car of his 3 every week, and so we'd do like 3 details a month. And so while that's totally possible, and that is, of course, where you want to grow to, in the beginning stages when you're targeting maintenance clients, you might find, like I did, that in a lot of ways, people are more comfortable maybe spreading it out, say 3 to 4 times a year. And that pitch exactly is something that seems to be, in my experience, very attractive to people. Rather than saying monthly or bi-monthly, the words or the phrase 3 to 4 times a year, or 3 or 4 times a year, meaning once every 3 months or once every 4 months, seems to be something that most people are actually very, very interested in. So that's just a tip on the house here in this free video here. And by the way, if you guys like the free content, then smash the thumbs up button below because it lets me know that you like this content and it helps this video get out to more detailers. So if you like this content, hit the thumbs up button. So the number one thing here is that this customer represents a car that I see about once every 3 months. That is particularly attractive, not only to this customer, but also to many customers. Now, the reason why this can be very beneficial is because in this particular situation, this is not my customer's daily driver. So even though I don't see it every month or 2 months, which is really the frame that I want to be in with most of my maintenance clients, this car never gets overly dirty, or it never gets what I would call past the point of no return for a maintenance client, or to be considered a maintenance client. So while yes, you need to have a specific system that develops maintenance clients in a certain time frame, this can be adjusted, as I've talked about in other videos, with certain customers, as I am adjusting it here, in that this is once every 3 months outside of my 2-month maximum time frame. The beauty of it is that this is a total win-win because it's no dirtier than some of the other maintenance clients I have that I don't see but every 8 weeks. Okay, even though I don't see this one but every 12 to 14 weeks, it still comes in just the same condition every time. Never takes me more time, never takes me less time. I know exactly what it's going to take me. But second of all, the price is also increased just a tad, and the customer understands why that is. And this is also just a huge win-win. Rather than my customer paying me every 2 weeks and paying my regular pricing, he pays a little bit more once every 3 months, and this still comes out annually at a lower price than it would every 2 months if he were to get on the regular maintenance client program, and he knows that. We've done the math together, and so he understands that he's also getting a deal but still paying a price that he's really comfortable with. And this is a price that pays off for me very, very well. So first tip here is that yes, this has been adjusted, but because it is still in the same condition as the other ones that come in once every month or 2 months, it's still just as clean. It doesn't bother me at all. And this is something that can be very beneficial, just to repeat, for those of you beginning in your business. Targeting this kind of thing at this particular time frame can be very beneficial because people tend to jump at it, at least in my experience in the beginning. Now, the second major kind of business thing that I want to talk about here is that this vehicle is very, very small. It's a Toyota Spider, an MR2, I believe. It's very, very small, 2-seater, no back seats, 2 doors, not 4 doors. It takes very, very little time. This is yet another kind of unspoken benefit of the maintenance client kind of targeting system that I talk about all the time. In many ways, the people who you end up developing on your maintenance client list over time are people who have smaller vehicles because, if you can think about it, people who want their vehicle detailed on a regular basis tend to value their vehicle more than most people. A lot of times, the vehicle they tend to get you to detail is not actually their daily driver. It's one that they're more emotionally attached to. A lot of times, this is again just my experience, a lot of times it's a little sports car. It's a sports car that they don't drive on a daily basis. It's their fun car. It's their weekend car, and they're overly emotionally attached to it a lot of times. Maybe not overly emotionally attached, but you guys get the idea. They're very emotionally attached to it. They want to make sure that it stays in really, really fantastic condition. And because of that, you end up developing not only a list of people that takes very little time to detail for because the vehicle's in clean condition, but it's also a very small car in the first place. And so it doesn't take a lot of time just from a physical point of view. And that is obviously the case here. And these are two major reasons why I say this is the exact maintenance client that I want to target in my detailing business, because you can think of the power that begins to compound and essentially exponentially grow your business when you have 20 of these, 30 of these, 50 of these that you see every year. You create this recurring revenue stream that you can depend on, predict, extrapolate, all of these things, and it's based around details that take very little time and very little effort from you, and that's kind of the entire point. So these are two major reasons why this is the exact kind of maintenance client that I want to target, even though he falls outside of my particular maintenance client system as far as a time frame that I've developed. Now, I want to break down a little bit of my maintenance client system as far as what I'm doing to service this car, because this is a question that I get all the time. They're like, what do you do with a maintenance client? What do you not do with a maintenance client? So I just want to contextualize it to this particular Toyota Spider in this particular situation, because it is a little bit unique, and I want to explain what I'm doing here. The first thing that I do with this Toyota Spider is I think to myself, and of course I've seen this many, many times before, so this is not something that I developed necessarily on the first time I saw the car, but because I've seen it, repeatedly, I know this car very well. I'm very familiar with it, and that is yet another benefit of having maintenance clients. You get very familiar with their vehicles because you see them on a regular basis. So like my client who drives the Aston Martin and the BMW M6 or M6. I'm very, very familiar with both of their vehicles because I've seen them dozens of times, and so I just know what I'm going for. So the same thing applies here with this Toyota Spider. I know which areas of this car are going to be dirtier. I know which areas are going to be really clean. So let me explain here. One of the areas that's going to be a bit dirtier on this car is the steering wheel, because I don't see it once but every 3 months, and because of what my customer does. Let's just say it's because of the business that he's in. The steering wheel gets a little bit dirtier because he works with his hands, and his hands get dirtier. And because of that, I know I have to focus on the steering wheel. As you can see in this particular part of the video, I'm focusing on the steering wheel. Now, another area that's going to require a little bit more focus from me is going to be the carpets. The carpets, because my customer works outside his particular business that he has, he tracks in grass and gravel to the carpets. I know that I'm going to have to spend a little bit more time on them. However, I also know that these carpets have been protected by me in the past, and so they get easier and easier to clean pretty much every time I see them, because I clean them and then I protect them. And as I clean them and protect them, as I put more protection down, of course, it gets easier to clean the second time around, the third time around, the fourth time around. So while, yes, I am going to focus a little bit more on the carpets as far as vacuuming, shampooing, I am going to be protecting it, and I know that in the future, it continues to make my life easier and easier. Now, a third major area that I want to focus on here is the leather seats. Now, this is a little bit particular to me because, number one, the leather seats are not something I always spend a ton of time on as far as protecting is concerned. In many ways, what I will do is take my Meguiar Synthetic Express Spray Wax or my detailer's choice or technician's choice, ceramic spray detailing wax sort of spray product that I use to protect the rest of the interior, and I'll go ahead and protect the leather seats with that as well. But when I'm dealing with a customer that I see on a regular basis, I want to make protection one of the top priorities because it does make my life easier, and it makes the car it makes me kind of look like a superhero because the car is so much easier to clean every other time I see it. So any time that it does get dirty, it ends up being very easy to clean off, and that's something that will inevitably build your reputation just very easily, and really you're just being proactive and protecting things. But especially with a smaller car that's kind of a sports car, for whatever reason, I do like to take kind of my good leather protectants that take a little bit more time to apply and put them on the leather seats. So while yes, I'm going to be taking just a little bit of time to clean the leather seats because they're not all that dirty, I'm going to be taking a little bit more time and spend it protecting the leather seats. And so those three areas of this particular vehicle are where I'm going to be focusing most of my time: steering wheel, carpets, and leather seats. Everything else really is just surface dirt and dust that is relatively easy to take care of, from the radio to the stick shift down there, the door panels as well. The door jambs are extremely easy as well because there's actually no door jamb up top because, again, it's a convertible. The window is kind of like a rimless window, like a rimless glasses kind of. It doesn't have the door frame going around the top of the window. And so the door jambs, number one, they're half of the normal door jambs that you have to clean, and there's only two of them, so that makes them very easy as well. My point in emphasizing this is when you see maintenance clients, you will begin to see which areas need to be focused on and which areas do not need to be focused on. And these are things that are very, very worth writing down because it will streamline your process in a way that's difficult to quantify before you've done it. But when you do it, you'll see what I'm talking about. And so here I focus on the areas that need to be focused on. I don't focus on the areas that don't need to be focused on. Now, as far as products and tools that I'm using for this video, when it comes to cleaning, I mean, essentially the only product I'm using is going to be the Meguiar's all-purpose cleaner that I have in my little Meguiar's APC bottle there. And then secondly, when we get to the leather seats, I am using Renegade's LVP leather cleaner. I've been using it in a lot of videos recently, actually, and it's just a leather cleaner. I normally don't really go for dedicated leather cleaners, and I have been going for this one because I can spray it directly onto the seat, and no matter really how long I leave it there and kind of scrub around, it never leaves those kind of streaky, dripping marks, and I really, really like it. It's just super safe, and it's a really great cleaner on really dirty leather as well as cleaner leather, and I've been using it on pretty much every leather for probably about the past 3 months, and that's why I keep showing it in my videos, because it just keeps it. I really like the product a lot, and so those are the two main cleaners I'm using. Now, apart from that, protectants that I'm going to be using, you'll see when we get to that part of the video here that I am going to be using the G-Technic Smart Fabric on and I might not have gotten it on video, but I do use that on the carpets after I clean them. And then I use another leather cleaner from Renegade, or leather protectant rather, from Renegade. That's more of a cream that I use on the leather seats as well. Now, like I said, guys, as I go down this column where the stick shift is, the radio, the air conditioning button, the vents, I am going to be steaming the major areas. Like I'm going to be steaming the vents. I'm going to be steaming kind of the seams of where the dashboard meets the vents and all those things that I need to just blow out. But other than that, I am just going to be more or less kind of quickly wiping this down because it's not a super dirty area. Now, you guys see in a lot of my videos, in many ways, what most of the detailing technique I use looks like is spraying the cleaner, scrubbing with my detailing brushes, and mopping up. The reason why I always scrub with my detailing brushes is because it's just the most effective way, in my opinion, to get in these tiny little areas where the buttons are and do it gently enough where they don't damage, they don't wipe off the white lettering, they don't do these things that you want to avoid, but it also agitates the cleaner, makes it kind of suds up and all those sort of things. Now, you see really what I'm doing here is focusing on the details. I'm using my steamer to blow out the cracks and crevices because the major areas here, like I keep saying, are not that dirty. But what I see is that most guys flip this around. They spend a ton of time on the major areas here, on the buttons and all those sort of things, but that is the area that's actually really, really easy to clean, whereas the details, the seams, the cracks, the crevices where the dust and dirt sits, those areas are a bit more difficult to get right, and so I would consider kind of flipping that and making sure that you're focusing on the areas that do require a little bit more time and you don't spend so much time on the other areas. Now, one good thing to point out here that you kind of will find in a lot of different vehicles, like this particular stick shift here that obviously gets used when you drive the car. It gets touched every time you drive the car because you got to use the clutch and, first, second, third gear. in order to even drive the car. I actually drove a Mazda Miata, my first car, when I turned 16, so I had a little 5-speed Mazda Miata. I actually prefer manual, I think. Hey, comment below if you prefer stick shift over automatic. Let me know if you do or if you don't, and why. I think I kind of like it just because it's a little bit more fun. You have a little bit more control over the car, a little bit more entertaining as you're driving. But one of the things that you find with a manual transmission is that the leather on the stick there actually gets wiped off over time, especially on older vehicles, and this is a bit of an older vehicle. So you need to be very careful cleaning that area, especially with something like a non-abrasive scrub pad or even a detailing brush. You get kind of this sticky residue that is almost underneath the leather. That's kind of that adhesive that's gluing it to the stick. And you want to be careful because that is not going to be something that really needs to be cleaned at a high level, if at all, because it's already so damaged. But apart from that, I'm moving back into the cup holders using, again, that same strategy I keep talking about, spraying, agitating, and scrubbing with my detailing brush and mopping up with my microfiber towel, and then using my steamer to blow out any areas that have any suds left in them, or just getting hard to reach areas like that area between the seat and the console area. Then I move down here to this area that basically sits between the outside world and the car itself, this plastic little running board here. And this is where I always use my magic eraser, always, without fail, because it always gets scuffed up. And I will say, just like I talk about how black carpets tend to be a little bit easier to clean than tan or lighter colored carpets, the black plastic pieces here, when they get scuffed, are much easier to clean, in my opinion, than the lighter colored ones, because the lighter color just show all of the scuffs, including the ones that are not going to be able to be fixed. Now, when it comes to the door panel, this again is something that's relatively easy, and there's not really anything to say about it other than I clean it the exact same way I'm talking about right now. And you might be wondering why I'm using so much product or why I'm kind of cleaning it at such a high level, especially when it's a maintenance client. And the reason being is because after I get done with this particular one, because I generally don't see the interior of this car, though I have seen it just a couple times, I am now including the interior as well because my customer wants me to. So I am sort of hitting the quote-unquote reset button here, cleaning it all at a very high level, and I'm going to put some better protectants on all of the parts of the interior so that it gets much easier to clean next time. Before I put heavier protectants on interiors, I like to clean them at a really high level just to make sure that they're just kind of like totally stripped down at every level possible before I add those things in. Now, guys, I'm going to stop talking and let you sit back and relax and watch the rest of the detail. I am going to come back in with a voiceover closer to the end just to wrap up a few things, talk about a couple more tips and tricks for you guys. So stick around to the end so you don't miss that. But right now, go ahead, sit back and relax and enjoy the rest of this interior detail. Alright guys, as we're finishing up the video and before we look at the after result here, I just want to remind you guys, if you haven't grabbed that free guide down below, then go grab that free guide, 13-page guide that I spent a lot of time developing, talking about the most fundamental tools and products that you need to start your auto detailing business without wasting money on things that don't work. Apart from that, guys, make sure that you smash the subscribe button and tap the bell icon so that you get notified when I publish future videos just like this if you're an auto detailer who loves everything auto detailing like I do. And of course, as always, if you want to check out every single one of the tools and products that I used in this video, then go below in the YouTube description box. There'll be a super organized list of everything that I used here so that you can get your hands on it if you want it. Guys, thank you so much for watching. And as always, from Luke here at Wilson Auto Detailing, keep working hard, and I will see you guys in the next video.